Hello there, Qckslvrslash here, and today we have a video courtesy of GameConDE driving the Tier 10 Japanese battleship, the Yamato. And he's on hotspot domination mode, joined by a couple buddies, and they decided to go all Japanese. 2 Yamatos and a Zhao. And definitely not a division I would like to come up against, because the Yammy, as I'm pretty sure everyone knows, can absolutely wreck things with these massive guns. And when they're not doing the work, you've got just a litany of secondaries to spam at anything that gets too close. And interestingly, right off the bat, you can see GameCon turns right and is going off to Charlie. He's also zooming in and out a whole bunch. And I keep hoping he's eventually going to take aim at this Frederick de Grossa. And it looks like he is, though maybe that enemy Yamato will be the first target. Hard to say. And based on the detection range, I'm thinking GameCon has a partial concealment build here and was actually just holding off firing there for a bit because they weren't detected. But the first volley goes out and nothing. Looks like Lieutenant Pinky there did get some hits in, but overall, not a lot of damage on the board to start this one off. But that happens, and honestly, opening shots like this, they're bonus. Like, if you get a cruiser side on at 15k and you can delete him at the start of the game, it's amazing. But these long-range engagements, ships have time to heal them, but there we go. Almost 26,000 damage as his friendly Kurfürst detonates. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Tier 10 battleship detonating. Use your flags, people. And if you don't have flags, put the frickin' module on. That definitely puts GameCon's team down a bit here at the start, but it's one ship. You can always come back from that. And the Yamato is still showing a lot of side. Better hit that time, almost 10,000 damage, and there is a Z46 out on the flank. You can see Lieutenant Pinky's secondaries are opening up, and, well, GameCon's aren't. And that more and more speaks to how I think he's got this build. It isn't a secondary build, you know, the kind of novelty or fun build. He loops a shot over the edge of land and finishes the dangerous destroyer off. So now things are a little more even. 1 kill aside, and that enemy de Grossa he's been shit kicked a bit. Important to keep going forward though, because as you can see, Z46 did get some peeds off, and there is a Z52 also in the cap. Now GameCon takes a blind shot there, firing at, I'm not sure what. Definitely not at the de Grossa. Maybe that Yamato retreating. 1 over penetrating hit, not a lot of damage, and he's got to be careful. He's showing a fair amount of side here, and there are some deadly guns to him. And I'm not necessarily talking about side to de Grossa. This other Frederick de Grossa is pretty much flat on, and if he's got a spotting plane, can definitely loop the shells over the island, and GameCon just landed 2 Citadels into that enemy BB. And here comes the fire. And the big guy I'd be worried about less and less as time proceeds and this enemy ship kind of continues south and puts more of this island in front of him. He's who I'm most worried about. These ships from the front, they're not going to get huge damage in. The damage is going to pile up as they all shoot at him. You can see he's using his first damage or repair party here, and it'll take him back to probably 80,000 hit points, but he just keeps taking a beating. He's really the main thing the bulk of this enemy team sees right now, and as a result, they're all focusing on him. And kudos to the enemy team for doing that. Lieutenant Pinky's spotted as well. I'm sure that Neptune is potentially spotted, but the enemy team has picked a target and are all shooting it. And that target, unfortunately, is GameCon. He's backed up, he's managing to kind of get away, but once again, I'd start to be worried about this ship out on the flank. And you can see he does bring his guns over to take a peek at him where he's looking, and you have to be aware of that. And he's done a good job. The other thing he's more than probably aware of is this Z52. Now the Z52's gone dark, but is still firing at the Benson. and that's probably because he's smoked and is either running his hydro, or just because the Benson was shooting, the Benson's spotted. You always have to be careful when dealing with those German destroyers because of the hydroacoustic search they bring. And, well, enemy Yammy, he's turning in, and you can see GameCon decides not to shoot here. At least at first. He's waiting to see how that Yammy steadies up and then throws the shells. And unfortunately, they all miss. And things so far in this match, they're kind of going pretty balanced. GameCon's team's behind because they've only just gotten some caps, but they've got a pair of caps, though Alpha is being challenged, and the kills are pretty even, especially considering that Des Moines was pretty much side on as he disappeared, and GameCon got a well-aimed shot off at him. So you kind of expect the kill. There's the Citadel, gets the kill. Now things are even. The major difference being GameCon's team has lost battleships, the enemy team's lost one of each, and Z52 makes the last-ditch sail out around the corner, launches his Peds at Lieutenant Pinky, and Pinky eats them and goes down. So there's one division mate who has fought the good fight, but is sinking to the bottom. And you can see this Benson up ahead smoking. Obviously, you want to get into that smoke. The destroyers on this side of the map, you know where they are, they've been dealt with. So get into that smoke, find the cover, and he just loops those shells beautifully over that little village, putting a Citadel into the enemy Yammy, taking him out, and now they're ahead. And what I think actually gives them greater advantage is the fact that they've lost all battleships. The enemy team is losing a lot of utility ships. They've lost a couple destroyers and a Des Moines, and you know, the Des Moines might not seem deadly, but it's got radar, and it can just burn things down with its high rate of fire, or given the chance, just pump Citadels into the sides of ships. So losing those ships means, well, GameCon's now safe in the smoke for as long as it lasts. If that Des Moines were still healthy up there, he'd be getting shot at. Instead, he has all the time in the world to think about this shot, and unfortunately, the land indicator pops up right as he fires, and most of them go into the side of a mountain. But there's another Dmitry Donskoy to shoot at, this one on very low health, one good hit and he should go down, and of course, one penetrating shot, one overpen for next to no damage. And it looks like the Minotaur's making a move. He was momentarily spotted, GameCon gets a shot off, but none hit. It's kind of a speculative shot. You never know what you're going to hit. Unfortunately, the Minotaur is quick and it accelerates very fast, and, well, it's a sneaky little ship. It may not have any armor, but given the chance, it can dodge a lot of shells. Fortunately, he is still spotted. GameCon gets an aimed shot off, and that time does a little bit of damage, reserving that rear turret for this Donskoy. Come on, one good hit, and he should be gone. And, of course, an overpen. That just seems how things go sometimes, and the Donskoy has some trolley armor. I mean, it's one of the better armored cruisers, in my opinion, and that shot kind of showing why. It wasn't a badly aimed shot, a bit of dispersion, but no reason it couldn't have gone in, instead it didn't. But this time, it's 9 shells. GameCon is making sure he is dead. And that's what you just have to do sometimes. It takes 3 of them hitting to finish him off, and he's dead. And the reason you have to do that is you can't let any ship with a repair party get away. That Donskoy was about to disappear behind some land. He would have had lots of time to recover health. Instead, he's gone, and now his buddy or doppelganger is about to share the same fate. Unfortunately, once again, a couple of overpens, no big hits, so it falls to the Neptune, or, in this case, his buddy in the Zhao to finish him off, leaving just the Minotaur over here. Unfortunately, that Kagero is pushing across the middle of the map. And that means you can't sit around too long in the smoke. Kagro's got some great range on its torps, and there's open water in front of him. So I wouldn't be surprised if GameCon just kind of keeps this pace. Just leisurely, floats ahead and puts land between him and those potential destroyer torpedoes. Unfortunately, enemy Yamato did a good job getting some land between him and GameCon's shells, and none of those managed to hit. Now the enemy team is still ahead despite being down one ship, and it's because they've held A for so long. Fortunately, friendly Shimakaze at the back there is picking up the cap, and that's more or less going to mean the enemy team's the one pressure to make a move. They've got to get a kill somewhere or it's not going to work out. You can see GameCon's buddy in the Zhao heading off to the north, chasing down that Minotaur. GameCon just looking for a shot on this Yammy. It's pretty much perfectly side on. You can see he's hoping for it. He's got the plane in the air, and he finally takes a shot, though the land collision indicator still showed up. Most of them getting eaten by the soil, one managing to overpen for a tiny bit of damage. And unfortunately, they lose a Neptune, so now things are even. The advantage, I would say, is this Benson, who is YOLO torping the Yammy, and the Shimakaze. Now the Benson goes down, but watch these torpedoes just obliterate the Yamato's health. It doesn't take him out. Yamato's got a lot of hit points, and he doesn't hit them all. But that's half of the enemy ship. That really gives GameCon and his friend Tiger 824 a chance here. Both the enemy Yammys are on low health. GameCon got a Citadel into that Minotaur. Things can work out. And managing hit points at the end of a game is very important. Now, the big thing that would have been amazing is if that Shima had managed to get some torps into this Yammy, because, well, he ate 5 or 6 Benson torps. He had a flood. Getting another flooding would have been great, and unfortunately, you can see he's managed to recover a very decent chunk of health. And while GameCon has used almost all of his repair parties, he's still got one left. Unfortunately, he's going to have to wait to take some damage to use it. You don't want to use it to recover a very tiny bit of health unless you're, on your last dregs and there's not much in the pool. You can see the Minotaur just tempting him, firing out of that cloud. He takes the shot. That enemy Yamato is burning. The Zhao doing exactly what it does, lighting everything on fire. And this is going to come down to a bit of a duel. There's still a Kagro that hasn't been spotted for quite some time. And if I were GameCon, that is what would really be scaring me right now. The Shima's gone to the south. He's getting the flank on these 2 battleships. You can see some torps just in the water as GameCon picks up Confederate. And I really think between the Zhao and GameCon, they're not going to have a problem finishing this enemy Yamato off. Unfortunately, GameCon is kind of just continuing to lose health bit by bit. No big hits making it into him, but it's health he can't get back now, so he does have to be careful. You can see he's keeping himself decently angled against that enemy Yammy, and fortunately the Minotaur isn't focusing on him. The Minotaur is focusing on the Zhao, who is pretty much bow into the fire, so he's not taking it. There are a lot of torps in the water, though. They need to get this enemy Yamato. Tiger goes down to those torps. The Yammy is burning. Come on. It's not going to take much more. You can see him trying to repair through it. And these moments, you start to grip your mouse, push on those keys a little harder, just hoping to finish it off. He needs that Yamato dead because that Yamato is what is currently detecting him. There he goes. He's safe. And I had a bit of advanced information. I actually know where the Kagro is. I've watched this replay already, but getting rid of that Yamato is the obvious thing detecting you. It means this Minotaur, at least for a time, didn't have a direct line to him, and that means he's going to keep a few more hit points. And that Minotaur smoke has to be running out soon. Unless the Kagura went up there to support as well. And that's what I'd be starting to think in my head. Because that Minotaur has been smoked for far longer than a British smoke lasts. And while he is focused on that, there's a beautiful shot on this Yamato to the south. Unfortunately, doesn't have the quickest turrets to get him around. You can kind of see him just panning around like, where can this destroyer be? Where is the damage going to come from? I believe he can't have sailed out of the Minotaur's range yet, but the Minotaur has just stopped firing, which I find kind of curious, and the Shimikaze doing the smart thing. He's worried about points. If GameCon stays alive, points are going to decide this match. 4 minutes left. The Shima gets into Bravo and is capturing it. Meanwhile, that enemy Yamato, who kind of went towards Charlie, isn't in it. And that just means they're going to keep closing this point gap. Now, here is where you wish you still had repair parties. Unfortunately, he doesn't. And 5,000 hit points, that's a single volley from pretty much anything. One good Minotaur volley, one mediocre Yamato volley, or one P. He's gone. So he's got to worry about his sightlines. He took a shot there, having land cover from the Minotaur, and he drills the shell into him, picking up the Citadel, high caliber, Kraken Unleashed, and that really does start to secure this game for his team. They're ahead on points, they're ahead on caps. The Yamato's going to take the cap at Charlie. Who cares? The question still is, where's that Kagura? It hasn't been spotted for some time. You've got the Yammy to the south in Charlie. Where is that destroyer? And the only peace and solace that GameCon would have right now is he's not detected. So that means the destroyer is pretty much nowhere in this bubble with the exception of a small cone to the south of this island. And the enemy team isn't capturing C at a stunning pace, so okay, he's not in there. And those are the kind of things you just have to keep thinking through. Where could the ship be? Obviously, he's not at A, which is probably, if I were that Kagura, the move I might have made. Things on the fight front seem decent. And of course, that's when GameCon gets detected. Which means, somewhere within 13.9 kilometers, there's a destroyer looking to wreck you. And I guess that's one of the advantages to a full stealth build, is it sucks that bubble in a bit. And I can't honestly say if this is a full stealth build. I can't remember the Yamato statistics well enough off the top of my head with different combinations of modules and captain skills. But you can see in chat, teammates being like, Shima, don't YOLO, like, we've got this. 1.5 minutes, 7 points, 4 points, 1 point, there's no torps in the water, GameCon is going to survive. And, well, his butt might have clenched a bit at the end when he got spotted because of the potential of dying to that enemy Kagura, who really could have shot him to death if he had chosen to. GameCon survived and had a great game. 400,000 credits, 3,063 XP, got Confederate, Dreadnought, Kraken, High Caliber, 213,690 damage, got those 5 kills, bunch of sits, and really just pumped a bunch of damage in over the course of the battle. Kept himself in, didn't overexpose at any point, showed his side at a couple times that I would have been worried about someone else, but he was looking to see where the guns were aimed, so he knew they weren't looking at him. But a well-played game, and what really sealed it, I think, was the kill on the Minotaur. Had the Minotaur been able to get into Bravo and really push the Shima, this might have ended a little differently. So that lob shot at a momentarily spotted Minotaur was great. And there you can see, top of team, 3,063 experience. No tricks or anything special going on here, because the impressive thing is GameCon runs a standard account. And this is really where you'd expect him to wind up on the team after a game like that. He got big damage, kills,
he did what he had to, and he just kind of slowly pushed around a flank. And GameCon plays battleships a lot the way I do, and that is pick a flank and just kind of slowly shift around the map. And the reason I do it is I just don't like having things on multiple sides. When your enemies are all to one side of you, you can control the engagement. You're not waiting for your turrets to come around. And that's really how he played that map. When you look at the damage, the Minotaur is the big one he killed. Did most of the damage to the Minotaur with a couple just sits. And that's British cruisers for you. They can be easy to penetrate and frustrating when they're invisible. He did some good damage to the enemy Yammy, the Des Moines, but he racked up, the 200 and some thousand damage by committee. He just hit the ships he had shots at. And end of the day, still made a profit on a standard account, doesn't have the fancy camo, walked away with 81,231 credits. And these tier 10 ships are not easy to make money on a standard account. I will admit that when you're running a lot of modules, but he still managed to do it, and that really kind of highlights how good a game this was. Thank you very much for sending this one in, GameCon. I enjoyed watching it. I hope all of you did. If you did, please consider subscribing or giving it a thumbs up. And as always, I'm Qckslvrslash, and I'll have another one later.